you want clarity, don't come late. The morning facts with Cindy Rose on how the country running. We break it down. A chance undone in pound and two. Electrifying facts for me and you. Economy, health, education. Youth, them future, the whole foundation. Culture, law, accountability. She hold the line for transparency. Not just talk, context and insight. So you can reason and get it right. Morning boost for your mind and soul. Information is power. Take control. Grab your bush tea. Clear your head. Start your day. Properly fed. Who got the facts? Who got the facts? Cindy. Who asks the hard questions? Who keep it real every morning? Cindy. Daily talk show. Daily talk show. Covering the issues. It drops an empire. Electrifying. Powerful morning booze. The morning facts with Cindy Rose and from sunrise talk to national plan. Facts in the morning so we understand. Strong mind, strong people, stronger land. The morning facts with Cindy Rose and from sunrise talk to national plan. Facts in the morning so we understand. Strong mind, strong people, stronger land. Before you step out, before you decide, get the facts in the morning and walk with pride. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to a brand new week of the Morning Facts. Today started really slowly, really weird. I've been sitting here since about 8:15 and we've been trying to figure out like the StreamYard. So it took us a bit because like they attempted to charge for an entire year when I thought, oh, I put in to be on a monthly plan. So anyway, we got it all sorted now. So it took a minute, but we're here now. So I apologize for being late. Like I said, I've been sitting here in the studio since 8:15. We've been back and forth trying to figure it out. So I almost feel attacked, but I'm gonna put that out of my head because, as most of you know, my website went down over the weekend and we could not figure out what was wrong. But we finally got it back up, and then the emails weren't coming in. So about midnight last night, my technician told me that we got the emails back. So it's been a crazy weekend in terms of Guavaberry's products, but that happens when you have to deal with, computers and, other agents and technical things and so all sorts of things going wrong, especially when it's on a weekend. So, but we're good now. Hopefully we have no further problems. So good morning and thank you for joining the morning fact. See, I'm a little flustered. The morning fact this morning. Anyway, let's get to business. What we're going to be doing today, I don't have a full lineup. We're just going to go by air. I know a lot of people are asking me to, talk more about labor, the situation with specifically about locals not being hired. So I'm going to try to speak about it a bit more this morning. I reached out to someone at labor. I think it's raining. It's been so cold this morning. I think there's a cold front somewhere coming through. And I was given a bit of information, but I'm also going to send an invitation so that I can have someone come over and sit with me and have an interview on, what's really going on in terms of, the local market, locals being hired and so forth. So, but we'll get to it. So we're gonna go down on news for this week or what's up there for the past few days. I want to go back. I'm gonna go back just a little bit to the situation with the domestic violence situation last week. A letter came across my desk and I wanna read that to the public. We're gonna talk about the rated program. I don't know. Did we pick that up last week with Honorable Later? I don't know. I don't think we did. But we'll pick it up. So we go down the news, and our main topics for today. It's gonna be on labor, and some other things like the BVI's international reputation. I'm gonna try to hit on that a bit, based on some other things that came across my desk on Friday and then again last night. All right, so I know we just got back, but we're gonna take a quick 2-minute break, literally 2 minutes, and we're gonna come right back and jump into it, okay?
Good morning, good morning. Rise and shine nation. Grab your bush tea. Cindy Rosen in the building. Let's break it down. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. How the country running, we break it down. Facts in the morning, no gimmicks, no spin. Educate, empower, let the day begin. Sunrise busting over hills and sea. Radio on, tune in frequency. From policy talk to community news. She asks the questions, bring real truth. No long talk, straight to the point. Facts so clean, they anoint. From the people voice to the leaders' seat. She connect the dots, make sense of it. If you want knowledge, tune in early. If you want clarity, don't come late. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. How the country running, we break it down. A chance undone in pound and two. Electrifying facts for me and you. Economy, health, education. Youth, them future, the whole foundation. Culture, law, accountability. She hold the line for transparency. Not just talk, context and insight. So you can reason and get it right. Morning boost for your mind and soul. Information is power. Take control. Grab your bush tea. Clear your head. Start your day. Properly fed. Who got the facts? Who got the facts? Cindy. Who asks the hard questions? Who keep it real every morning? Cindy. Daily talk show. Daily talk show. Covering the issues. It drops an up higher. Electrifying. Powerful morning booze. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. From sunrise talk to national plan. Facts in the morning so we understand. Strong mind, strong people, stronger land. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. From sunrise talk to national plan. Facts in the morning so we understand. Strong mind, strong people, stronger land. Before you step out, before you decide, get the facts in the morning and walk with pride. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen.
Welcome back. It's the Morning Facts. Thank you for joining us for another week. This is our second week. We're excited to be bringing back morning talk to the airwaves in all forms. And just a reminder that 10:30 to 11:30, 90.9 will be picking up 1 hour of this morning show. We're in conversations to make it daily for now. So I will update as we've decided on that Monday to Thursday going forward. But on Mondays, only Mondays for now, 90.9 will be carrying the morning facts for 1 hour, 10:30 to 11:30. So I was getting some complaints that, there might have been an echo in my background and some shadowing, a bit of shadowing. And then that, you couldn't hear persons clearly. But I tried to listen, or I listened to a bit of the shows over the weekend, and I could hear a bit of the echoing that people were speaking of, but the call-ins, like, it was clear. Like, I could have heard really clearly. So there was only one, the last person that called in on Friday, the female, and I think that was because she was speaking really softly. I couldn't really hear her, but I could hear all the callers. But we're still gonna look at other ways that they can come in even clearer. And so, yeah, we're gonna continue to look at ways to better the show every morning. I'm looking for the link actually to share. So it'll probably be this. Okay. I know you guys can tell we're having a bit of complications this morning, so bear with us. I just want to be able to share so people know that we're on, okay? So just bear with me a little bit. Alrighty. All right, so I don't know if everybody's familiar with Kyra. I really want to start with a letter that she pinned in relation to the domestic violence incident that we had on social media last week. Well, that we had last week that went viral on social media. So I want to read her letter. It came across my desk, I think it was Saturday. And it's quite a good read. And I definitely want to read it out for us, her perspective. And okay, I think I'm good with sharing now. So we'll read that, and then we're going to go to the headlines for today. So let me start with that. So this is Kyra James. We might be familiar with her. She is doing a lot in terms of preserving our local heritage and culture. She shares a lot of that on her pages on Facebook. So I'm gonna read her input on this for you. And she titled her piece, "Is Everyone Okay?" Which is very catchy. Is everyone okay? The realities of violence and the ugly it reveals in a community. All right, so she penned this on January 23rd, which would have been Friday. I got it on Saturday, and I am going to share the contents with you. This week, which was last week, a video circulated of a man being aggravated by a young lady, to which he responded with excessive strikes to her face and body. What was captured on camera was brutal enough, but it seemingly continued off camera indicated by the prolonged cries of the girl. Naturally, it spread quickly, and community members rushed to social media to give their commentary. I unfortunately read a lot of them. My fault for having a phone. And now that I've taken a few hours to decompress, I have one overarching question. Is everyone okay? I'm partially curious, yet pretty sure that the answer is no. Because a community in good health would never utter the takes I've seen with my own eyes. Persons saying that they're equally wrong, that the solution is to train women to not provoke men, that it's not fair for men to have to be mature, and the chilling comment that I have yet to recover from was a woman proudly sharing that she encourages her sons to hit women back if they hit them first. The most alarming sentiment, however, is that you can't control the way people react when you trouble them, insinuating that if you hit someone first, whatever happens after that is justified. Let's start with who hit who first, okay? Who hit who first is childish logic. Grown adults are talking about this devastating situation like it's children playing in a schoolyard. Who hit who first? Who hit who first is a method adults use to reprimand children who in their equal strength decided fighting was the answer to their conflict. And even then, those adults often give the advice that's not the way to handle things. The person who started it tends to get a higher punishment. But let's indulge in this fantasy world for a second where the situation is an equal parallel. If you were watching two children on a playground, one pushed the other and the other retaliated by dragging them and throwing several blows, who would you tend to first? Who would need the immediate attention? In a situation where our first response should have been concern for the party that was beaten badly, some showed no concern at all or defaulted to finger pointing. The sad part is while even in this scenario, we can acknowledge that regardless of who started it, the second child needs tending to. The real life version is even more sinister because one is a grown man and the other is a minor. Many did not realize she was underage until the police made an official statement. But without knowing her birthday, you could see from the video that she was smaller, younger, and weaker than the guy. Another pointer, it's not a fair fight if the scales are tilted. Let's look at this. Power dynamics change things. This is not two children fighting. This is a big person taking advantage of their unbalanced power and strength. There is a reason why so many rules and laws have extra penalties for persons who break the ones in place to protect the vulnerable parties. Abuse of minors will get you in more trouble than a bar fight with your mutual. Having a sexual relationship with a minor will get you in more trouble than one with your mutual. That's why even two consenting adults often have to report their relationship to HR if one is the other's superior, because they will get into more trouble than if it is their peer. Do you understand what was said there? So if you're working together in a workplace, sometimes most times it's frowned upon. You're not allowed to date within the organization. But if you are, it cannot be one is superior and one is inferior, because you're going to have some issues there in terms of conflict, pressures to do certain things for promotions, etc. All right, so if you understood that. In the adult world, the person who started it doesn't get the higher punishment. The person with the greater responsibility does. They're both wrong. Okay, so what she's doing is outlining the things that she saw in response to what had happened. Okay, so she's debating each one. They're both wrong. I've seen people say they understand it was excessive. They're just saying they're both wrong. While I agree the young lady shouldn't have pushed him, I'm not sure how people don't see the danger of expressing they're both wrong so carelessly. The disparity between the degrees of wrongness is too wide for it to be simplified in that way. That's why people perceive those comments as justifying it. If not justifying, then why justification shaped? What justification shaped? In law and ethics, this is called a false equivalence. But a comment I saw summed it up in a way even a child would understand. She's wrong, but he's wronger. And this would be the same case if the roles were reversed. So please stop making this a man versus woman thing. I swear gender wars will be the end of us. The sadder part is that women and men alike are sharing these sentiments unapologetically, as if there is some sort of prize for keeping it real. There are some potential prizes if we are unlucky enough. Yeah? Domestic violence is our most reported crime. Cases of domestic violence continue to rise rapidly in our islands. In 2023, the Commissioner of Police stated that it is our most reported crime by far. In 2024, the Minister of Health and Social Development shared in the House of Assembly that cases jumped from 40 in 2019 to 138 in 2024 with no signs of decline. And these are just the cases that make it to a police report. He said by raising our voices together, we can strengthen the message that domestic violence will not be tolerated. Unfortunately, the voices of the people were raised this week to examine that what a minor did to deserve being beaten to a pulp, like a choir struggling to find the right key. I imagine the powers that be are working hard to figure out who to remedy or how to remedy the parts of our community that have created an environment where a 220% increase in gender-based crime is possible. They have created resources for victims and provided programs to help abusers adopt nonviolent behaviors. But what this situation has made evident to me is that something has failed our people miserably. Something in us is clearly broken. If you want to reduce those numbers, I think the strategy has to go beyond the people directly involved in these cases and target the wider community that is indirectly enabling them to occur. Because the truth is, a lot of the people who have been so adamant about them both being wrong are men who have also assaulted women. Though shared jokingly, someone on my timeline said, and mine too, I saw this as well, you know what's crazy? Women beat us on here writing think pieces on what they would have done. Sit this one out. This post currently has 22 hearts, 19 laughs, 18 likes, and 1 care reaction. People are very aware who the perpetrators are among them. I personally enjoy when they expose themselves in times like these without realizing. But are we truly paying attention? Abusers so desperately want you all to agree that they're both wrong so they can feel okay about what they did when the person they assaulted provoked them. They're liking all the posts that agree with the lie. They've told themselves to be okay with what they see when they look in the mirror. That's who you're comforting. There is no world where you can't control how people react when you provoke them. Holds any weight in a situation like this. I keep wondering how we got here when there are so many resources out there for us to be better self-informed. There's Wi-Fi everywhere, yet nobody took the time to look up why that response is so flawed. Even with the rise of AI, tools making it easier to access information than ever before. I'm not sure how we ended up in this weird state where people are somehow storing therapy, speak into internalized misogyny, creating the nastiest mixed drink. We're learning how when people hurt us, they can't tell us how to react to it, and somehow thinking that principle applies to pushes from a minor leading to being pummeled by an adult. We somehow think the best world peace answer at a time like this is to teach women and girls how to not upset a big, strong man who can hurt them, not getting both parties the help they need to be okay. That's why the saddest part of it all is that these comments that make abusers feel justified despite the initial satisfaction doesn't actually benefit them at all. Because what the young man in that video and everyone else who operates like that needs is help. From what I understand, this is not his first case, and that should come at no surprise with how comfortably he administered those blows. And as much as I do hope the court rules in favor of him facing the consequences he rightfully deserves, it is obvious that this person needs something charges or jail time won't provide. I see someone who will continue to self-destruct without intervention, who needs to be taught how to manage their anger, who could possibly benefit from some prayer and guidance. But that's not what many of you offered, is it? So congratulations, you failed them both. I could not agree with this take. I mean, most of it is what I've been trying to say in terms of this situation. And, of course, they've jumped on, I'm just a feminist, I have to support women, and all of these weird ideas in their head, not just simply what we saw was absolutely wrong. So Kyra, thank you for pinning that. I'm going to share it. I'm actually going to put it in the chat right now. So anybody that wants to read it can read it. And please, let's, we can't build a decent community justifying actions like this. And no, we also shouldn't, just turn away and say, oh, he needs jail time. Because I've said over and over that young man needs help, like serious help. Whatever it is that he has experienced in his childhood, in his household, growing up in his life, he needs help. He needs counseling. Okay? All right. So I'm going to move on from that because I don't really want to have too much of a long conversation on this domestic violence issue. Again, we understand what it has done to this society and continues to do, how many women and men suffer in silence. So encouraging it and justifying it in any way, it's just not going to fly. All right. I want to go on quickly to see if I can find, or maybe I should leave this rated program conversation for the conversation on the labor. I'm going to put that there. And I'm also going to put where I see some of the financial institutes are having programs to help develop, persons looking to work in that industry. So I'm going to leave that for there as well. All right, so we're just going to go and we're going to go over the news and we're going to come down there and then we're going to get into our conversations for today. So I've shared the article that I just read. If you want to jump on and read it and share it with friends, you can go ahead and do that. All right. All right. Let me pull up the news quick. Let's see what's going on in the news. My site hasn't been updated for a few days. I'm going to try to do that once I'm done here. Because as I've said, it was down and we were having some issues with it. All right. So the first article I want to pull up on BVI News is, was the asphalt plant a bad investment? So the asphalt plant, and I know this conversation is coming up because of the contracts being passed out now for road works, right? And it's interesting because a couple weeks ago, someone tried to, draw a scenario of what they thought was going on with the government's asphalt plant. We all sit down and we try to figure things out in our head and make things work. So we're gonna kind of discuss all of it a bit. So the question is mounting over the government's investment in an asphalt plant as potholes and deteriorating roads continue to frustrate motorists and residents across the territory. The plant, which was acquired in 2023, and we remember that when this plant came online or working, it was said that we weren't going to have any more asphalt issues and so forth, and it was long coming and they were excited to have gotten it on. I wonder if I call the minister if he's gonna pick up. I wonder if I call him if he's gonna pick up so I can ask him a couple questions. And I don't think it was 4 months. I don't think it was 4 months, but I'll give it 6. But I don't think it was 4 months that the plant started going down after it had just come online for use, right? Now, there are some people. So, Honorable Walwyn, the opposition leader, he brought it up in the House of Assembly, and he said something is going on with the asphalt plant because sometimes the plant is down more than it's up. We need to try to get it addressed so that we can get the roads looking in a decent and proper manner. I want to encourage a minister to try to get that plant working again. And I guess when he said a minister, he's referring to the Minister for Communications and Work, so that we can get the patches and all of that with the roads sorted. And then as we jump into or go back to the point that the government is passing out these contracts for, fixing and rehabilitating the roads, $14 million in the one from Rotong to West End. Is the government's plan going to be used in this? It doesn't seem like, because if it was, then I guess that contract wouldn't be so high. I wonder if I call the minister, if he's gonna pick up my call. They'll be so afraid to talk to me. Let me see if he's gonna answer. Let's see if he'll take our call.
You are forwarded to voicemail.
All right. So, because this minister rarely doesn't take my call, and he doesn't pick up, he calls me back, or he'll send a message and say he's in a meeting. Let's see what the response will be. All right. So I don't know if right now if the government plant is actually, asphalt plant is actually working. And if it's not working, why it's not working. And so now the question is, was it a bad investment? He's calling back. All right. Honorable Rima, good morning. Can I just tell you that I have you on speaker and they can hear you on the radio show? Is that okay?
I'm in a meeting right now. I'll have to call you back.
Okay, so he's in a meeting and he'll call us back. All right, thanks. All right, so if he does call back, so the question is if the government plant was a bad investment. So about $1.3 million was spent on the plant, and it has been giving problems just about 4 to 6 months after it came on board. We've had this conversation before on different platforms. We have the situation with the roads, the potholes, constantly destroying your vehicles, your body, your back. Contracts are going out in terms for getting the roads rehabilitated. So I guess what we want to know is if the plant is working. We hope the minister calls us back. If not, I'm going to line him up for a conversation. And, the fact that who is accountable for that $1.3 million now? Who can tell us why the plan actually isn't working? There are some people that have this conversation going that it's very possible that it's a sabotage happening with the plant. I can't speak to it for sure. Maybe the minister can give us more details when he calls back as to why the plant isn't working, what the issues are they're actually facing, and if it was indeed a bad decision to spend that $1.3 million on the plant, and it's impossible to maintain it. I'm just saying what some of the things could be. It's impossible to maintain it, and now we're putting out all this money to rehabilitate the roads and paying for services that the government could have actually been providing the asphalt to whichever companies that will lay out the roads. So again, it just, it brings us back to where there's a constant wastage of government funds, no accountability. Okay, that didn't work. All right, we tried this over here. Because really and truly, if it was your private business and you were running it, you would make sure that your plans work, you're not wasting your money, you're capitalizing on the monies that you put in, etc., etc. So I think the way that we continue to use government's money is we need to be more accountable for the way the money is used. We can't just throw $1 million here, throw $1 million there, 2 over there, 5 over here, 7.2, I'm gonna throw it in. That didn't work, and we just walk away. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars, while education isn't at a decent standard, healthcare, again, or infrastructure. All right, so if he calls back, or when he decides to call back, maybe he'll be in a meeting all day, I don't know. All right, so hopefully we can get back some information from him on that, and maybe we'll be able to complete that conversation before the end of the show, or maybe we'll pick it up again tomorrow. The BVI-USVI charter fee impasse escalates with U.S. lawmakers. And BVI News, you come right in and you make me the face for this thing. I don't know why you did that. But we discussed it on the show last week and I gave my view. But again, I think by Friday or Thursday night or Friday, it was in the news again because now they're having their own meetings, and want to take it to a federal level. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means that they didn't get through in Congress or in the Senate, or the president didn't, acknowledge the letter that they wrote in December. I don't know, but it is where now they're having conversations and want to escalate it to a federal level. So, You know what I have to do? I have to go over to Just Van Dyke, and I should reach out to the businesses on like Just Van Dyke, and I guess Anegada too, and Virgin Gorda. And if anybody is there, they can chime in and tell me, because people are saying, I've seen comments about, we don't understand how the businesses over here are suffering because of, what they implemented. The last thing I understood was that about 80 businesses or 80 boats registered on this side, so they don't have to pay the monstrous fee, but they're also they're registered over there as well, so they're able to bring the people in. So I'm confused as to how at this point, businesses on this side, tourism businesses, are suffering. So you guys reach out to me, Soggy Dollar. God, Erin going to kill me. I'm having brain freeze. But the businesses on White Bay specifically, on Just Van Dyke, those tourism-driven businesses, Virgin Gorda, Anegada, you guys have my number. Message me and tell me how this is affecting your business, because I want to be fair in my conversation. But if it's saying that the charter companies are now registering in the Virgin Islands, and so some of the height of the fee doesn't affect them, how many businesses on St. Thomas then are making this an issue? But the lawmakers in the U.S. Virgin Islands are now, I don't know if to say escalating, because to me, the president would be the highest level, unless I get that wrong, and that would be escalating. To me, it will be now that they're just going different avenues, trying to get whoever can help them figure, something on the U.S. Virgin Islands side that they have authority over, for federal to come over here where they have no authority to tell us what to do. I want to see how that's gonna work out and how that's going to go down. It's really sad that you're so entitled to want to determine or demand what someone charges you to operate in their waters. We can't tell you guys what to charge the tourists coming in here, right? So when your company, just one of your companies, is making, 1.5 to 2 million, and that's on the low end a year, and we're telling you your fees to operate in our waters to make that 2 million is 24,000, and you have a problem with that. You have a problem with that. Even if you don't want to register your boats over here, okay, that's fine. Just pay the fee. You can operate. You can stay over there and operate, but just pay the fee. Okay? It's a real serious level of entitlement to feel like that. And for the lawmakers over there too. And you know what? I'm going to call some of them. When I'm done with my program today. And I'm going to see which of them would like to speak to this platform in particular, because I don't even understand their mindset either. Is that $165 million actually affecting them, or it's affecting the businesses? Are those businesses, yes, they're going to pay some taxes in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but is the U.S. Virgin Islands really the big beneficiary, or is it mainland U.S.? Okay, the jobs within those industries, is it local, U.S. Virgin Islanders that are benefiting from those jobs, or are they bringing in people from the U.S. mainland to fill these jobs? Because I don't think we understand this fight. Okay, the lawmakers in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which most of them have roots in the Virgin Islands, fighting us for all property for a bunch of people who don't really care about the U.S. Virgin Islands. They're just there to make a buck and take it all out. Do you really benefit? Does St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands, really benefit from what is going on there? Do they really benefit? Because the truth is, the Virgin Islands has developed the U.S. Virgin Islands on such a huge level. Now we have a lot of other options, and I know they're losing a lot of their monies because we're not bringing it over there anymore, because really and truly, it's not even sometimes, it is cheaper to shop on Tortola for groceries. You know how we used to go over there and shop for even groceries? It's cheaper to shop over here now. And we know it as Rotom Wholesale, but it's really and truly costs you less is over here, so we don't need to go over there. Right? The owners of Rotom Wholesale, did you guys know that? Were you paying attention when the sale went through? Right? It's cost you less that owns Rotom Wholesale now, but that holding company. So there are a lot of reasons for us to no longer spend the millions and millions and millions that we've spent in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but we have supported their economy for a lot of decades. Okay, and we have not really benefited in any way, per se. Okay, but yeah, they are now trying to have conversations on a federal level to see what the feds can do about the British Virgin Islands. Not the U.S. Virgin Islands, the United States Virgin Islands, but the British Virgin Islands. Oh, and let me mention something. I don't like scaremongering, and I don't like that type of gossipy, spreading that kind of information that, oh, there's conversation in Washington to buy the BVI. I understand like that conversation was happening on one of our or talk shows or nightly talk shows over the weekend. That is absolutely not true. So I wish that we would not put that out there, because you create an angst and anxiety for persons who don't know better. Okay, that conversation is not happening as far as I know on any level. So let's just try to not put that type of stuff out there unless you have hard evidence that you have seen this on black and white. Is on the president's desk. The UK and here is having conversation, because you could easily ask the governor. He may or may not answer, but let's stop with those types of conversations that get people anxious and nervous and scared. All right, because that is not a conversation that's on the table. All right. So yeah, they're escalating. Well, they're going to another entity, the feds, down there to fight us. So yeah, the health minister. There's another article here where the health minister is urging employers to pay Social Security contributions. I guess that's under his portfolio, so he can put that, but I would think that he should be more fighting for NHI. Unless he looks at them as one in the same, right? Because they kind of together in a not together way, but you understand what I'm saying. So he's encouraging employers to pay Social Security contributions. While I want to say that, and I said it on the show last week, when a company deducts money from the salary of an employee for Social Security and NHI, so there are some companies who they pay you straight out and you're responsible for paying your NHI and your Social Security. And sometimes I think that even the employee doesn't understand that when the employer gives them that option, because I know employers who give that option and the employee take it and they don't pay their Social Security and NHI, and then they still turn around and blame the employer. There are some of those situations happening as well. But if an employer deducts money for Social Security and NHI and they don't pay it in, that has to be some level of theft, right? So I want to be so careful with this, because I know that there are a lot of companies that are going through struggles in terms of like with what we went through with the hurricane, and as businesses were really trying to like catch themselves, there came COVID, and so it's been a lot. But if you're actually deducting the money for that purpose, if you're not putting it in, then it is actually considered theft, and you're actually really and truly putting your employees at a disadvantage. You're really putting them at a disadvantage, because, if they get sick, they can't go to the hospital and use their NHI because they don't have it. You didn't pay it in. They don't get the deductions. If they have to be off the job, they can't get Social Security to pay them for the time outside of the law that they'll be off because their Social Security hadn't been paid in. So you're really putting them in a really compromised situation and position. But really and truly, if you're deducting the monies for the purpose and not turning it in, by the law, that is theft. That is theft. Okay? And for safety, even us I call us entrepreneurs who don't have anybody, but we spend all our money because we need to keep up our families. And I'm one of those. I'm behind on my Social Security and NHI, but that's on me, for my business, for me, myself. So I know if I go to the doctor or whatever and my NHI is down, I know I gotta come up way out of pocket, right? That's for me. And if something happens with me, I can't go and claim Social Security. Like that's on small businesses, like entrepreneurs like ourselves. But we also should try as best as we can to try to keep up with these payments. Support, even if it's the lowest amount or just above the lowest amount, you try, because, you know, it makes you a better business person anyway for when you start to take on staff and take on that responsibility. But if you're actually an employer and you're deducting fees for Social Security and NHI and you're not turning it in, that's a form of theft. That's a form of theft. And the truth is, if an employee goes to Social Security or NHI and their funds aren't there, they have a right to go to the police. And the police job is to actually arrest the employer for theft. I'm just breaking it down as to what it is actually supposed to do. That is how the system is supposed to actually function. Okay, because if you take my money, it's my money, right? You're deducting it. You're not paying in my half and you're not paying in your half. You're not paying in any at all. If you're holding on to your half, okay, I get it. But if you're deducting the employee's own and you're not turning their portion in either, like, that's theft. It's theft. Whether we want to look at it like that or not, it is actual theft. So if, you know, the employee goes to the police with the situation, the police is actually, once they're able to provide paperwork, proof, the police is supposed to roll up on the employer and click, click. That's what's supposed to happen, really and truly. Okay? It's not a civil, I know they like to say, oh, that's a civil matter we can't get involved in. That's not a civil matter. That's not a civil matter. It's a criminal matter. You took out the money and you didn't put it where it was supposed to go. It's just simple theft. All right? So guys, just be careful, because that's really and truly what it is. And the police know it, Social Security know it, NHI know it. They'll encourage you to say, go to a lawyer and take them to court. No, you need to take it to the police. You need to take it to the police. We're having a call. And I'm going to call this because I think that the WhatsApp calls aren't the best. I'm listening. I'm gonna give you. Let's give them a call straight.
Yes, good morning, Cindy.
Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm speaking about Social Security, right? I glad to speak about this because I don't think the employee should have to go to the police to deal with this matter. I think it's the strength of Social Security should be dealing with these issues. I don't think you personally should go to police and get lie and all these things. Because there's a responsibility of Social Security to make sure these people put in their money. That's how I look at it. What do you say about that?
So what I'm saying is and last week, we were having a bit of this conversation. And we talked about the possibility of setting up a tribunal, etc., etc. But what I'm saying is it's out of the hands of Social Security and NHI to a point. So let me explain to you what I think based on what I'm trying to explain, right? Social Security and NHI are there set up. You're supposed to pay into them by law. We all know what the breakdown is, etc., right? my employer is deducting my portion and his portion, okay? He's not, well, he's deducting my portion and then he has to match that. But he deducts my portion and he doesn't even pay that bit in. If I go down to NHI or Social Security and I have my paperwork to show that, you know, my employer has been deducting this money, to me, that is out of the hands of NHI and Social Security, because all NHI and Social Security knows is that you need to turn in this money so that you or your employee can reap the benefits, right? Now, if I go there and it's not there, okay, it's on me to decide, you know what, my employer has stolen my money. Because if you take something and you don't put it where it's supposed to go, it's called stealing, Jojak. So, right, just to keep it very simple, right? They have stolen my money. My next best bet, right, that's a crime, is to report it to the police.
My personally think is the responsibility of Social Security, because which I just speak to some guys who live in thinking that they said Social Security couldn't speak of the matter and then they will take them to court. Not the person itself.
Well, the truth is, Jojak, they didn't steal from NHI and Social Security, did they? They stole from the employee. And so the best Social Security and NHI can do is be a witness to say, we have not received monies from this entity for whatever time period. This employee, as far as we know, is with this company and we haven't received it. The only thing they can do is be a witness.
I personally, I think once you have your receipt to show Social Security, they should be taking it up further. Not me. That I should be fighting, getting a lawyer and not to fight. They is the one who is responsible for the situation.
No, they're not, Jojak. And if Jojak, if you steal money from me, right, and I go and I report it to the police, I don't have to pay any lawyer fees. The DPP is going to prosecute the case. Yes, they did. If you take, Jojak, yes, they did. If you take money from somebody's paycheck that is supposed to go into NHI or Social Security and you don't put it in there, you stole the money. Or you mismanaged or whatever, right? You're supposed to be held accountable.
I like what they are a little earlier where some people have options. The employer gives them the option that they pay them their own money. And if they have the option and they don't pay their own money, that's a debt. That's a debt. But when you taking out people money, which is Social Security responsibility to see that this thing happens. And I must say, the devil was supposed to deal with the company. And I see too much of it where you hear government ministers come on the radio when it's supposed to get this money from to pay the people that began taking it. Come on.
I'm disagreeing with you to say that Social Security and NHI, they are responsible for taking the money in and making sure that you get your benefits. They're not responsible for prosecuting if the company doesn't pay in. That's on you. If your money isn't there, I go back to my employer and I'm like, can I get a check for what isn't there? Or I go straight over to the police station? Because the employer is who took my money. NHI didn't take it. Social Security didn't take it. My employer took my money, the money that I worked hard for, that is supposed to be able to go and benefit me if I go to the hospital or if I broke my foot and I have to stay home. They deprived me of those benefits. They took my money, and that's how I view it.
Okay, you view it that way, and I view it this way.
But that's how the law actually views it. If you take something that's not yours, it's called theft. That's simple, basic law.
Let me say it again.
I'm listening.
This company is a licensed company. The license with Social Security, the license with NHI, and they have the responsibility of taking your money and paying it. And that's their responsibility. Responsibility of Social Security supposed to keep their record if these people money. Which I agree with Social Security. Tell people come in and check. Okay? But they come in and check and delete it. It's their responsibility.
No, it's not. So, well, we're gonna agree to disagree. We're gonna agree to disagree. Jack, can I ask you a question? If you had $200 at home, right? Somebody came into your house while you were out, they took it. What is that considered? Okay, if the law says that you're supposed to pay into a pension plan, and you actually take the money, your employer take your money out of your check and didn't put it where it was supposed to go, what would you call that? No, Jack. Let's just keep it simple. Can we please just, Jack, let's just keep it simple. What would you call that? Okay. All right. Who handles, so is theft a crime or not? Who handles criminal matters? Okay. No, they are not. They're not armed. They're not armed and legislated to deal with that. The police are the ones that deal with that.
So what you want to tell me now? You put it in strain and they lie now. Then I Social Security now.
I am not putting a strain on the law. The law, crime is handled by the police. When you break the law, the police step into action. I'm not putting a strain on the law. That's why that entity is set up. I know I'm raising your pressure because you know some people need to be in jail.
You're raising the pressure because you try to take away Social Security responsibility.
Listen, Jojak, you will not find any legislation to say that Social Security is supposed to deal with businesses that don't pay into NHI or Social Security. You don't pay in your fee, you don't get my benefits. It's as simple as that. That's how they legislated. You can't take the onus off of an employer that's taking its employees' money and not putting it where it's supposed to go to say that it's Social Security supposed to. No, they've committed a crime that the police are supposed to look into if the person that was cheated reports it to the police. That's the system that we live under. Fair or not? He's a lawyer. Well, let him call in then if he's a lawyer.
I hang up the phone and listen to somebody. Let somebody and give me somebody else a chance to deal with this matter here because I take that the responsibility
so
to go to the police. Point taken.
Good morning, King Sefu. If you want to call in, you could do so. Hold on, let me tell you what somebody here is saying. All right, So King Sifu is saying, I know once a client makes a claim and such is found out, Social Security generally contact employer and request immediate update or prosecution takes place. Nobody has been prosecuted under Social Security that I know of. They give you opportunities for payment plans and so forth to bring it up to date. Your friend Roger is saying the individual can also bring a criminal complaint to the court against their employer for stealing their wages. Okay, because that's what it is. It's theft of wages.
But it's not the responsibility.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Jaja.
I can't let you. And I let somebody call it. If somebody tries to call it, I say, I'm just something else. I know. I ego every time with that thing.
Well, Jaja, listen, I don't think that you have to go with us. I don't think that it's anything to clear up per se. We know the strength of the of NHI and Social Security, and we also know for a fact that if you take something that's not yours, it's theft. We can break it down as simple as that. Who you defending, Jaja? Who you defending? Who you afraid get locked up? Tell me. I say who you afraid get locked up? Why? Why? What? Okay.
They're responsible to put in the money. They're responsible to steal the money put in. They tell them pay the receipt to come in to pay, and you pay your receipt and you show them the evidence that the money being paid in.
No. You save your receipt to. You go, because we're gonna agree to disagree. See you later. We're gonna agree to disagree on that one. That is how I see it. And that is how I see it. And I mean, that's the way the law sees it. If you've taken something that is not yours, and you didn't put it where it's supposed to go, that is called theft. So someone else on WhatsApp says they are stealing from NHI and SSB also. It's called tax evasion. They are not paying into the system. The system needs those contributions to function. Well, the system needs those contributions to function for you. The only thing Social Security and NHI is supposed to be doing is taking care of the people that pay into them, not who don't pay into them. So, all right, we're going to take this call. Good morning, Roger.
Yeah, good morning.
I am good. How are you?
Well, I
What's your take? Huh?
If that occur by employers, it's theft.
It is.
And the person can either make a report to the police or they themselves can take the person to court. But what I know that Social Security have done in the past is to pay employers, delinquent employers to court for not paying the contributions or not being up to date with the contributions, but in a civil setting, not criminally, in a civil setting, just to say this person or this company or, and they need to bring the contributions up to date. It is generally done, not to say with any particular employee.
Mm-hmm.
And the feedback I have gotten from them is that they say that the civil matters they take too long to be resolved.
Yes, civil is.
And they had offer persons, employers who come in and set up a payment plan that they can, even though they might have areas or whatever the case may be, they can still come in and pay the contribution on behalf of the employee. But if an employee receives a pay slip that shows that the deductions were made and they go to SSB and NHI and they were informed that the contributions was not paid in, that is outright theft.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that you know, you I don't want to say patience because it's not the thing to do, but okay, you say patience with the employer side that they need to match it, that they can go to either one of these entities and say, you know, like I need a payment plan based on, you know, my portion, you know, the employer's portion, because they have to come up with their portion too. And sometimes you might hit, you know, hard times, etc. I've explained, like, you know, the hurricane and COVID and having to go through all of that and try to keep up, right? But I'm speaking specifically to the portion that you would have deducted from the actual employer's salary itself. And that you're not turning in that portion either. That portion.
The issue with the salary slip to show that contribution came out.
Yeah.
I will see that it was deducted. That means they're telling me that to pay my contribution is deducted, so I expect that it is being paid. So
right.
People know to one of the entities and then to notify that no contribution is made on my behalf, whether a year, 2 years, or whatever it is, and then to imply or have to answer.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point. You know, get a payment plan on your portion that you're struggling with, but if you're deducting from the employee, that at least has to go in. So
yeah, but to tell my partner that based on how the law is right now, it is the responsibility rests on the individual employee to sort himself out, to get matters straightened out. Because unless the legislation is changed to give NHI and SLB enforcement powers,
right,
then it still remains a civil matter.
Yeah.
For them dealing with it, if they're gonna deal with it, it's a civil matter.
All right.
But the employee themselves, it would be a crime against the employee.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they will have to present that.
Absolutely. So thank you, Roger.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I'm saying, that that's a crime and the police have to deal with crime. Okay? If one of the, say a business, a store or something, or even a restaurant, someone walks in there and they take food or take up something or take something up out your store, your business, and you report that to the police has to deal with it. The police can't tell you, oh, that's a civil matter, we can't deal with it. Theft happened, so the police has to deal with it. All right, there's another. Well, yes, and we kind of covered this. Another comment coming in on WhatsApp, it's not just the employee deduction. The employer is required to pay a percentage of their employees' pay to SS and NHI. And SS is Social Security. This affects us all as the funds may not be there in the future for pensions, etc. Social Security and NHI should use the law to recover those funds too. Right, correct. And that's what I'm saying, like Social Security, NHI, they can put you on a payment plan, make sure you're able to fully pay in your portion, and they shouldn't be, it shouldn't be like long thing. And if an employee is leaving an employer, all of their Social Security and NHI benefits supposed to be up to date. All right, they're supposed to be able to still benefit, and do not ever forget that Social Security is a retirement pension fund. So if you're cheating people, you're affecting their future. Okay. And what I can say, if Social Security and NHI, once, I guess, if they have put them on a payment plan, they are to ensure that it follows through. I don't know. I think legislations need to change. Some legislations need to be updated for Social Security and NHI. And I'm telling employees that if your employer is deducting money from your paycheck and they're not paying it into NHI, that constitutes a theft, and you can report it to the police. All right. On that note, we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back for the next hour.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine nation. Grab your bush tea. Cindy Rosen in the building. Let's break it down. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. How the country running, we break it down. Facts in the morning, no gimmicks, no spin. Educate, empower, let the day begin. Sunrise busting over hills and sea. Radio on, tune in frequency. From policy talk to community news. She asks the questions, bring real truth. No long talk, straight to the point. Facts so clean, they anoint. From the people voice to the leader's seat. She connect the dots, make sense of it. If you want knowledge, tune in early. If you want clarity, don't come late. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. How the country running, we break it down. A chance undone in count two. Electrifying facts for me and you. Economy, health, education. Youth, them future, the whole foundation. Culture, law, accountability. She hold the line for transparency. Not just talk, context and insight. So you can reason and get it right. Morning boost for your mind and soul. Information is power. Take control. Grab your bush tea. Clear your head. Start your day. Properly fed. Who got the facts? Who got the facts? Cindy. Who asks the hard questions? Who keep it real every morning? Cindy. Daily talk show. Daily talk show. Covering the issues. It drops an empire. Electrifying. Powerful morning booze. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. From sunrise talk to national plan. Facts in the morning so we understand. Strong mind, strong people, stronger land. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. From sunrise talk to national plan. Facts in the morning so we understand. Strong mind, strong people, stronger land. Before you step out, before you decide, get the facts in the morning and walk with pride. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine nation. Grab your bush tea. Cindy Rosen in the building. Let's break it down. The morning.
All right, welcome back to the morning facts. So I want to pick up a few more headlines here. And this one is getting a lot of comments. If you could put in the comment section, tell me exactly how you feel about this. So a video went around a few weeks ago where it was showing. So at the airport, let me give some context. There were some changes at the airport, and you're not allowed to pull up, along the front of the building and drop off people anymore. You have to drive in up by where they now have, where the full parking was. They've created a lane there. You can stop there. You can let people off and they walk over. So there were some changes at the airport, and a video went around a few weeks ago because I guess it's costly to park at the airport, to sit there and wait for someone coming in. If the flight isn't on time, you have to leave, come back, etc., not knowing what's going on, right? So the increase in parking on the side of the road at the airport, a video went around showing, and it was saying that it looks so unsightly, etc. And now the managing director for the airport is admonishing people not to do it. He's saying that they're going to be putting up barriers and so forth to stop it from happening. And so people, let me see what some of the comments are like. All right, so we all people get really petty. So let me just move back on the comment section. But I could see that it looks unsightly. I don't know if it's safe or not safe. It mostly look unsightly for me because the road is pretty wide. So they're not parking on the road. They're actually parking on the grass portion, going all the way down. So he said they're gonna put up barriers, but people feel like they shouldn't be forced to pay to park in there to wait for their friends and loved ones, I guess, who is arriving. I guess the buses have their passes. They can go in and wait. The bus, there's a bus section there. The buses can hang out and wait. So I don't know what you guys take is on it. For me, it opens a broader conversation that I've even had with the Minister for Communications a couple times, Kairema, because this falls under his portfolio as well, the airport. And it's around there by Trellis Bay. The way that people park there on both sides of the road is not even safe for the ambulance to come in, especially on a Sunday, because it seems like a lot of people go over to Virgin Water, I guess, for the day, for church, for, to hang out at the baths, etc. They go over brunch, whatever. And it's like really, like one car can barely pass on that public road on a Sunday. And I mean, they haven't addressed that. So I would love to see how they're gonna address that situation before addressing, the situation over at Trellis Bay, because the truth is I don't see, besides it being unsightly, I might be looking very narrow at it. I have to go and think about it. But besides it looking unsightly, it doesn't affect the traffic or anything like that, to be honest. But over there by Trellis Bay, where the ferries come in, the ambulance can't, if there's an emergency, ambulance, fire trucks, nothing can get in there and turn around properly. It's a real problem. So I would like to see how they look at addressing that first and not over there. But of course, they're going to do what they want because, yeah. So one of the commenters said they're upset that, they're not paying the airport fees and the airport ain't making money. I don't know. I guess it just brings us to a point where we really have to think about the number of cars in the Virgin Islands, the parking issues. Like there's literally no parking and people are closing off their spaces more and more. You can't park here. If you're gonna park here, it's paid parking. And I mean, paid parking isn't anything new across the world, but we'll see how this stuff continues to go. But I'll keep an eye on that. So I want to see if they're gonna deal with that situation, because like I said, to me, outside of it looking unsightly, because people have been parking there for years on the side of the road, but I guess it's getting worse now based on the changes that they made at the airport. But they can't address one without addressing the other, because the other one is actually an emergency hazard, okay, up there by Trellis Bay. There's a headline here where the Health Services Authority's CEO is bemoaning her 3-year acting stint. So Dr. June Samuels, who is the acting CEO for the hospital, and she's been there for quite some time, now she's saying that it affects how the hospital is functioning, and the stability, of planning for the future of the hospital. Being in a position as an acting CEO. So she's saying it's affecting the stability. I don't know what you guys think, but again, this opens up that conversation about how long people in government are actually in acting positions. Some of them are in acting positions until they retire. And I believe that for some of them, maybe specifically, there is policy, as to how long someone can act, when they're supposed to be made permanent, etc., etc. So I don't know what it is with these acting positions for such long periods, because there's really and truly a difference in acting in a position and actually being, the official head of the organization or a business. Acting means you're temporary, and you can't do certain things or impact certain changes, etc., etc. I don't even really want to talk about Fraser, where he come in our house and determine what we should and shouldn't be talking about. And if we're having these issues, like, who's going to talk about them? Not the reps that we elected. We take our complaints to them and they take them to the House. Anyway, he's been in the House of Assembly for too long. He hasn't done anything besides, give away all civil service to the UK. So I can't think of anything that, why he's in there. Again, that goes down to, the people who you have behind you and them keep pushing you for whatever reason. But some of that needs to come to an end. Anyway, and he's one of them. He just gotta go. He never had a time, but he just gotta go. I don't have to stay long on this, and I don't even want to. Where the minister and the premier. The premier is the minister for tourism, and the tourism plan is still in the works, he says. I don't know what this plan is going to be made up of, but this plan has been coming now for 6 or 7 years. 6 or 7 years. It's been coming under, the Foy administration since 2019. It's been coming since the premier took over in 2022. It's been coming. I don't know what is in this tourism plan that is taking more than 6 months to do. And I said 6 months. Six months to do a plan. We're in 2026. We're literally in an election year, and a tourism plan is still coming. That's wild. So I didn't really have much that I could say about that. If you ask him who is working on this tourism plan, he can't tell you. So I don't know, because I cannot see any international entity taking 4 to 6 years to put a tourism. That's almost a decade. 6 years is almost a decade to just put a tourism plan together. You could bring 10 people here in a room and put a tourism plan together. You can have it in less than 3 months. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Let's check out the other news site. I'm gonna call them the other news site. And I did not want to talk about this. I didn't want to say what I know, but since they have put it out there, we're gonna like have this. We talk about it a little bit. So, so you know there's a plan afoot to remove the present opposition leader, Honorable Myron Walwin. There's been a plan afoot to remove him, and we understand that there was encouragement between Honorable Skelton and Honorable Penn to make Honorable Mitch Turnbull the opposition leader. Now I'm wondering if that is actually what Honorable Turnbull wanted, and like, you know, one of the other two wasn't in favor. But now I'm learning that Honorable Penn is like, no, if we're gonna have any opposition leader, any changes, it's going to be me, Honorable Penn, right? So I'm laughing because we sit back and we constantly admire saying, oh, he wants power, oh, he wants power, oh, he wants power. But just amongst these three, they can't decide who they want to replace Honorable Walwin with. So the chairman of the National Democratic Party, Honorable Penn, has placed his hat in the ring to say that he thinks that he should hold the position of opposition leader. Oh, I don't know where Vina does get their information from, but we all have our people in our contacts. But he's saying that well, part of his thing is, does Honorable Penn actually have a majority? So I don't know how this thing is going to work. I don't know. Maybe I should pull up the Constitution. Let me see if I can pull up the Constitution to see what it says quickly. Because, someone saying the Constitution says who commands the majority of their party, but I believe the Constitution says who has the majority of support, period. So I really, BBI Constitution, I really want to see how this is going to work out. But all I could say is that we're basically saying, or, those who want to say it, they're trying to say, Honorable Walwin is the power-hungry one. But if they're not power-hungry, neither of the three of them has shown that they could command the opposition in any meaningful way. So what would be the point of removing Walwin, who is actually doing a magnificent job in keeping the Premier's foot to the fire or bringing forward the issues? They say Penn doesn't do his research. Skelton there, but he ain't there. Mitch is the inspirational talker. You listen to Walwin and you can tell he does the homework. He brings forth, does the research and brings forth. But as far as I'm concerned, they can all do what they want to do. Election is coming up, and I'm going to just continue to encourage you guys to pay attention to what is going on. So I want to see how this battle is actually going to go down. And to be honest, I think Honorable Walwyn should absolutely leave himself out of it and allow the three of them to battle it out, determine what majority means. Don't even be flustered, right? And when they actually do remove him from opposition leader, that he actually falls all the way back. He does the work of his district, and he falls back and he allows whoever the new leader of the opposition is to be the leader of the opposition. And call it a day, because I just, you literally have 9 to 10 months before election, because I really believe election is going to be after the summer. Okay? You have just a few months. Like, what is the fighting back and forth, flipping hair, going over there, this one, like, seriously? A bunch of children. Like I say, the UK, there's a petition going around over there because they too are getting upset with their people crossing the floor, whatever, and they want a recall for when people do that. And I think we need the same thing over here. That people be a little more accountable to the people that elected them. All right? I think that's all I'm going to pick up from the news today. The Minister for Education, she's off traveling. I mean, she seems to love to travel. She's off to Finland right now. And the Premier had his party on Saturday night, which I heard was quite the to-do, but good for him. I just find that whatever was posted on the government's Facebook page, when they were putting up pictures or video or something they put up when he got to the party or whatever. And I just found the write-up as, and I'm gonna read it because I don't want people to say, oh, Cindy, you just talking. But I found it interesting because it almost sounded like they were trying to justify having this party. And I could see how that could happen, right? Because he has this this stench of being the party premier. So I could see where, they try to use certain language, but it almost sounded like what the write-up was like, kind of trying to justify that he had this party and, the importance of it. I don't know what the importance of any damn party is, but the importance of the party. And I am hearing things like, his office actually tried to encourage him not to go ahead and have the party since he had canceled it. Like, we're almost at the end of January. They were trying to get him to not have it, but he did anyway. Where did I see it? I know where I see it, but I wanted to pick it up on the government page, unless it was actually on the Premier's page, but I know where I saw it. Let me go now. Hopefully they didn't take it down. Let me check quick. Yes, so here it is. So, it's on the page of the office of the Premier of the Virgin Islands. And it came on Saturday night, and it said, happening now, the Premier of the Virgin Islands has arrived at his Christmas party. Held this year in 2026 instead of in 2025 when it was planned. The date change was in respect of the passing of the Director of Communications. Tonight's party is a celebration for the staff of the Premier's office, nonprofit organizations, and so many people who worked hard and tirelessly in 2025 to support the success of the government. All chief ministers and premiers host holiday celebrations in various ways, ranging from parties for adults only and children only, balls, cocktail receptions, and have even had concerts which celebrate Christmas celebrations around the world. Parties are usually held on Tortola, but have also been held on other islands. All right, and Saturday night would have been his third consecutive party. Anyway, it sounded more like a justification for having the party. I'm hearing that his staff was, asking him just not to have it, leave it. It wasn't necessary, but he wanted to have it. That's probably his last party as sitting premier under this House of Assembly. So he probably wanted to have it. I guess the next one will be, or if there's a next one for him. This might have been his last one. So I could see where he could have been thinking like that, just in case it's my last one. Let me do it now. I'm just being mischievous. But yeah, so he had his party. There was something I wanted to say that it totally slipped my mind. Maybe it's a good thing that it did. It slipped my mind. Alrighty. Okay, so I want to close with two things. Let me see how I can go along with these two things. Now, let me share. 90.9 will be coming on stream right now at 10:30. They will be coming on stream right now. So if you're on radio and you want to listen in via radio, tune in to 90.9, and they are going to be picking up the last hour of the show. All right, so tune in to 90.9, and they are going to be bringing the last hour of the show, 10:30 to 11:30. I want to thank my sponsors, Caribbean Sellers, CCT BBI, Premier Insurance Limited, Frozen Import, and Marcusson AC for sticking and staying. These restaurant upstairs are Frozen Imports. Their menu for today, they have chicken parmesan, barbecue pork shoulder, stewed turkey wings, local fish, and beef tripe. White rice, pumpkin rice, steamed green banana, green steamed vegetables. All right, so that's the menu for today. Of course, I'm going to share it in my varying chats so you guys can decide on what you want for lunch. Let me touch base with the pub as well. But 90.9 will be coming on now at 10:30. 10:30 to 11, tune in to 90.9, and they will be bringing the show live for the last hour. Again, I'm working on getting it daily. So let's see. But for now, they can only do Mondays for us, 90.9. So tune in there. All right. The international reputation of the Virgin Islands, UK. All right. So I think it was either November or December. There was an article that came out in one of the ready, perfect. Yes, so if you tune into 90.9, the last hour is on there. There's my VG senior. I said that I would call her. But I'll call her. But so in November, December, I want to believe it was November. This really, I don't know what to call that article, came out in one of the UK papers. And they said so many horrible things about us, right? It almost sounded like, yeah, we were just like the little slave pets over here in the BVI, and we were living in the worst ways. And it was just a really weird article. But if you look at it and you look at the author, you could probably call him, somewhere from in the back of the coldest of places in the UK, who haven't really ventured out to realize that slavery is over, and white people aren't the elite race. But anyway, he wrote a horrible article, and of course it was a lot around Andrew's arrest, and trying to paint us as this destination that is so drugs, we run drugs, we launder money. It was just a horrible article. And then on Friday, I got a global statistics. Someone sent me a link for global statistics. The top, I think it was the top 10. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Send me that. Okay, so it's on X, and it was the top 40 most dangerous cities in 2026. Have we had any murders in 2026? Anyway, the top 40 most dangerous cities in 2026. And I don't know, the credibility of this page. It says global statistics, but they had the BVI on this list. It was quite interesting. And, I get it. They're doing it I want to think they're doing it based on per capita and the level of crime per capita. But the BVI is on this list, global statistics. Okay. Honduras is on there, Venezuela. Well, San Pedro Sula, I don't know how to pronounce this other one. A couple places for Honduras is on there. They have Port of Spain, Trinidad. They have Nassau, Bahamas. They have Brazil, Bastia, St. Kitts. Chicago, you're up there with Chicago. Panama City, Roseau, Dominica. Rotown, British Virgin Islands. The Valley, Anguilla. St. John's, Antigua and Barbuda, Miami, USA. Cape Town, South Africa. So they have us in there they have Georgetown, Cayman Islands too. They have us in there amongst like some of the most deadliest places in the world. And I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that I believe that is happening based on our population or what's going on or crime per capita. Now, last night, at some point I woke up during the night and there was another, yes, I'll tell you what this one said. There was another one, and there's a new series on Prime that's called Steel. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. I've never heard of it, but it's a new series and it's on Prime and it's called Steel. And they call in the BVI's name in there is being referred to as a tax haven. All right, so I don't know what the remedies are or what can be done legally. I know the article that came out in November, there were a couple lawyers that have said that the BVI could sue for defamation. And I'm wanting to think that can actually happen. I believe that the premier, I don't know if it has to come from the premier's office, that letters be written to these entities to cease and desist this activity that is happening, because at some point we have to take control of the perception that's out there on the Virgin Islands. All right. So that's how I look at that. If that doesn't happen, unless the premier is fine to be, everybody can say what they say is what we answer to. I don't know if that helps. But I think we need to start looking at remedies. And the premier isn't going to tell you guys because he's just going to look at our top numbers in terms of tourism. He's going to look at those top cruising numbers on the cruise ship to, say our tourism numbers are up, but our overnight guests are down. The overnight guests are down. He isn't going to say that, but that is indeed the case. The tourism overnight numbers, it's down. And I saw an article that said, the airport had a high, turnover of persons coming through. But what they play with numbers. So what they don't do is compare, say, pre-hurricane to now. Are we in a better position in terms of tourism? No. COVID numbers prior to COVID, their numbers to now, are we in a better position? No, they're not going to draw those correlations, but again, I don't know the reasons, all the reasons why our numbers or overnight guest numbers are down, but they are down. So it could be, things like this that's going out about us that we're not willing to pay close enough attention to. But yeah, our tourism numbers are down. So I just wanted to address that, our reputation internationally, and maybe there are now remedies that the Premier should look at that, normally you wouldn't have looked at. And I don't even know if countries do that. They probably do. Send letters to entities like this. Like I said, I don't know this global statistic page. I don't know the credibility if it's a real page or whatever, but they have us there as one of the top 40 basically places that you should not attend or visit based on the crime levels. All right. Okay, so I want to close off on talking about the labor situation in this territory. And this isn't about, we talked about what's going on in labor right now, and the petition is going around. It's still going around. I put it up on the thing last week. I can put it again if you didn't see it. I can share the petition that's going around. A name was mentioned to me in terms of where it might be coming from, or one of the people that it might be coming from. And although that person is, I'm still going to share it because I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. But then again, it continues to boil down to, people in themselves do things, and then when it comes back to bite them, they are all, righteous in sharing petitions and so forth. But there is validity in the petition, and so I'm going to continue to put it out there. Okay, but my conversation today on labor isn't necessarily about that. It's about persons coming into work, our local labor market, what's going on with that. I got some information out of someone at Labor this morning. I reached out to them. And again, I'm going to send an invitation to Labor to have them come on set for an interview to discuss maybe, what they are actually seeing in terms of, hiring locals, what we can do to fix the situation, because I think there's a lot. There's a lot. We might just look at it and say, locals aren't getting jobs, but let's try to break it down a little bit within this last segment of this show. I'm gonna put this petition in the chat again on the Facebook feed if you want to be a part and fill it out. Go ahead. I see that my camera guy is running the information on making donations to Guavaberry. My ATH is down right now, so if you're sending anything and it's popping back, it is down. I have to go to the bank because I believe StreamYard, the company that we're streaming with, they attempted to pull a lump sum this morning and the bank stopped it. So I guess they're waiting on me to call to see whether that should go through or not go through. So the whole thing is down right now. All right. So anyway, I've posted that in the link and let's talk about the labor situations that we have going on right now. Since I opened the conversation, this is even before, but since I opened the conversation last week about labor, you know, people have been sending and asking and calling about, you know, locals not being able to be employed. I'm understanding there are about 700 jobs on the labor portal, because, you know, everything has to be listed on the labor portal right now, I'm understanding. And, you know, my friend over there, labor, if you're listening, just send me any information that you think I'm going wrong with, and I will adjust. Okay, but there are about 700 jobs on the labor portal right now, I understand, and yet locals are at home sitting down, they're unemployed. We have a lot of people in here on work permits. So I want to be fair in what I'm going to say and how I'm going to break this down. Okay, again, if you're not able to tune in on any of the social media platforms, Facebook or YouTube, it is on 90.9. We're on 90.9 right now for the last hour, and so you can tune in there. Okay, 700 open jobs on the labor portal. You have a ton of people coming in on work permits every year, and somehow you have lots of unemployed locals. In my mind, I'm trying to figure out what the issues are, what the remedies are, and I had some information come in from labor this morning, and I'm gonna say to locals, right, that last week I said that, you know, there are positions that labor shouldn't be even giving out work permits for, like receptionists and secretaries and stuff like that. And somehow, you know, these are being pushed through labor with work permits. I believe that labor and locals are facing a particular problem, and I'm not saying it's all of them, but I have encountered quite a few locals with a particular mindset, right? Sometimes you have to start where you can start. And I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna talk about the Filipinos, okay? Because we want to talk about them. We want to talk about the influx, and there are a lot of reasons for that influx. And I believe that we need to control it in a particular way. I've spoken about a rollover policy before, and I believe no government is going to get to it outside of a government that truly cares about the BVI. Okay, they're not going to get to it, because if we don't, it's going to change the actual physical look and makeup of what the Virgin Islander is. So it's imperative that we get to a policy like a rollover policy. Anyway, a lot of the Filipinos that come here, they do what they have to do for work. So if it's sweeping, if it's mopping, if it's cashing, if it's packing, stocking, waitressing, they're gonna do all of those jobs that it seemed to me that Virgin Islanders do not want to do. I don't understand it, and that's why sometimes I say we have to be very careful with the word entitlement and what it actually means. It can be a double-edged sword. Okay, so they will do their jobs, those jobs, okay, and they are well degreed. When I say that, they have gone to school, they have some of the highest degrees. However, they know that they need to make a living for themselves and their families. And they take what job they can get. And yes, if another job opens up that takes their qualification, they take that too. Because some of the qualifications that they have, we don't have. So we're kind of putting ourselves at a disadvantage. So some of the complaints and conversations that I'm having coming out, and I want to try to cover as much of it as I can, okay? And what I'm saying doesn't put everybody in the same bracket, because I don't believe that, the whole thing about Virgin Islanders are lazy. That does not encompass all of us. We don't want to work. We're not professional. We're not committed. I do not believe that for all of us. Okay? Yes, there are some that are going to be like that, but I don't believe it for all. But I think we're having a serious problem. And this is where I said I wanted to bring in the conversation about the rated program to see exactly where Honorable Mather is going to take that program, if it's going to be actually any different and be impactful. Okay? Because I think a lot of what is happening is our young people aren't being prepared for the workspace. Okay? I remember when I was going to high school, and I can't fully speak to how things are going there now, but when and I guess anybody around my age, when we were going to high school, we had to learn typing, we had to learn stenography. I mean, some of those things don't apply anymore, but typing does. Your grammar, how to carry yourself, how to create resumes, and so forth. And like all of these things, you had summer jobs, you had to take summer jobs, job training, all of these things you had to go through. And I don't know if all of these things are happening for the first time in a long time. I think this past, over the Christmas break and over the summer break, I saw students out in getting job training. Okay? There seems to be a problem with the way our people are presenting themselves for jobs, right? And that is to do with their dress, how they dress. Or young men as well, or men, period. The sloppy way in which, they carry themselves, arrive for interviews, their resumes, what their resumes speak to. And the truth is, like, just because you need a job doesn't mean that you have to get a job specifically where you want a job. Again, you have to go within, if there's a job available, okay, let's do it this way. There's one mom that she has complained to me a lot, and her daughter, a young woman, she is young, she's just out of school, and wherever she goes to apply for a job, wherever, and she's been applying for like receptionists, secretarial, these types of jobs. I can't jump and say that she's applied for waitressing. I want to think so, but she's been getting a lot of, you're not qualified. What qualifies someone to be a receptionist? Because that's the bare basics coming out of high school. And the truth is, it seemed like nobody now in the industry wants to train anybody per se, right? Normally you come out of school and you take a receptionist job, you're trained in the job, how you should answer the phone, you get your 3-month probation, how to answer the phone, how to do basic typing, type letters, etc. In that capacity. It's the same thing for a secretary, if you know how to type, because again, you've been trained to type in high school. I don't know if they're doing all of that now because everybody's on the computers and doing their own thing, but you still need to, do your words per hour, how fast you can type. As jobs like secretarial jobs and so forth still need that type of thing. And so how is it that if the high school isn't doing that type of training, that's a disadvantage to preparing all young people for the force. And then, what about on the job training that seems to not be happening? Like they want to bring in people that is ready for these positions. And even if they have to do that, who is enforcing that, a Virgin Islander is prepared to take that position? So does that person come in, take that position, and they're here forever in that position, totally locking out the locals, right? But presentation of the locals, being prepared for the workspace, and then you have some who, let's say an accountant. Say you can't find a job as an accountant, and say Rotong Wholesale, because they're looking for a lot of people right now in a lot of different areas. Okay? And you feel like that is beneath you. That you're an accountant, so you're not going to do cashier work. Although you're making zero right now, and what Rotong Wholesale is going to pay you, it probably can't meet all of your bills, but it can meet something. You're making something until you can find something else. And you never know. You might be in Rotong, and I'm just using Rotong Wholesale as an example, because I know they have a lot of jobs out there right now, so they popped in my mind. You could be a cashier at Rotong Wholesale, and somehow a job opens up in their accounting department, and boom, you're there, and you're able to apply for that. But we don't want to start in those low positions, and it's something that labor is saying to me. It's something that I know that I have experienced in people calling me to say that they're looking for jobs, and when they say to me, what they do, and I'm like, okay, if there's nothing there, would you mind doing this or doing this or doing this for the meantime? And they tell me straight out, no. They're not doing that. So they're more embarrassed that, say, someone of their own peers, another accountant can come into, right way, and they're cashing, someone that knows who they are. And, it's more of a shame thing. Like, why? We got to be careful with pride, right? So we're very selective in the jobs that we want to take. That seems to be a strong feedback that I'm getting. We're very selective. We're not going to do any and everything. We want to do specific things. I'm getting feedback like, we turn up today and we don't turn up tomorrow, which makes it very difficult for employers to run successful businesses. So I want to explain, how the knock-on effect that certain mindsets that we could have would determine our viability on a job, or businesses wanting to hire locals. And when you get a reputation one place, two places, you're gonna fall into trouble. Okay, because people around here speak more than you think, and businesses interact more than you think, business owners. Okay, so you can get blacklisted, for certain behaviors on 2-3 places that you went to. Even on your resume, when they start asking you, well, why you left here or left here or left here, what do you say, right? So how we're showing up for jobs, or commitment to the workplace, these are what's standing out for me, and or need to have certain positions, because 700 jobs on the portal, that's a lot of jobs. And you're telling me Virgin Islanders are at home sitting down. So it says to me that, and someone that I spoke to from labor, they made that very clear to me as well. They said they can't get the locals to take those jobs. They can't get the locals to take those jobs. They don't want those jobs. They don't want to stock at the supermarkets. They don't want to be, not even cashiers at the supermarkets. And I know there were a couple of banks that also reached out to me that said that they can't get the locals to stay in the teller positions. They're always looking for tellers. They show up and they do good for a week or two, and then they call in sick every other day. Or this week there's a holiday, the Monday, they call in sick the Tuesday. And just, and we have to find where we are responsible. as well. It's not, the onus is not on, say, the employer to keep you hired just because you're a Virgin Islander. If you're bad for my bottom dollar, I'm going to let you go. And labor cannot force anybody to hire people that are not good for their business and good for their bottom dollar. So we have to fight for ourselves too. Okay, that's where I come in with that entitlement. That entitlement could be a double-edged sword. Nobody has to hire anybody. Labor can't force it. Now, if you're being wrongly, okay, somebody's saying as of today, there are 436 jobs listed on the labor management system. 436 jobs listed. That's a lot of jobs. And if the locals don't want to take them, it will be 436 more work permits issued. Right? You gotta start somewhere. Start somewhere. If you can't get the position that you want, and especially if you're just coming out of school, you ain't got no bunch of choices, You got a bunch of choices, but to take a job if you want to work and go to college. Go to college, you get your training, or you take a job and you start climbing from there. We want to go to work all dressed up in offices, and that's not always, what's going to happen. So you have to be open. And again, if you're degreed and there isn't anything in your profession, are you just gonna sit home and not work because you can't operate within the profession that you got your degree in? Are you just gonna sit home and not do anything? Just take a job until you can find one that you actually want. But to just sit out of the job market for so long isn't a good look either for employers. Because your interaction with people and all of that in the workplace and functioning in the workplace is not there. So even that will make employers antsy no matter which job you're taking, that you've settled the job market for so long, right? So 436 jobs, and I don't want to get any more involved than I am in terms of helping one or two people to figure out jobs, maybe making calls. And I don't even like to do that because then I'm putting myself on the line where I figure you out and then you go in there and you make a total of yourself, and that falls back on me, right? But I think that we have to do better. If you want to hold a job, you have to be responsible in holding that job. How you carry yourself, your conduct on the job, making sure you turn up to do the job. You're not in charge. You can't just take vacation when you want, or decide you're not coming in, or you have an event to go to later, so I stay home, I can come in tomorrow. You can't do those things. You can't do those things. You have to be a responsible employee. Okay? And then, you have some employers that absolutely harass people that they don't want on their jobs. And you have employees on jobs, on work permits, that do whatever they can do to sabotage the local workers. I've seen it myself. And then I also find that a lot of local business owners and managers, they handle people so terribly. And that's a flaw on you as well. Because I don't want to work for someone who I can't communicate properly with, that doesn't know how to speak to me, because I'm not your child, I'm not your little whatever. At the end of the day, it's two adults and it's about communication. I don't say no names in my phone because ain't like I calling nobody name. Okay? We don't know how to speak to people as employers. We don't know how to communicate and how to handle people. And especially the young people, when you're tasked with, you know, handling them, managing them, don't treat them in horrible ways that you give them bad experiences and they say, you know what, I prefer to work for myself or stay home than have to deal with this psychological abuse every day, because that is what it is. That's what it is. So there's so many things, you know, going on all at the same time within the workforce, that, you know, we're not really preparing our people to enter. And of course, we're going to have to talk about the parents and how you're raising your children. And, you know, whether they think also that, you know, just because they're Virgin Islander, that they are supposed to have certain things. It doesn't work like that. But we definitely have to talk about, you know, parents and households and how we raise our children, how they dress, how they carry themselves, their communication skills. You know, you have to prepare them for where you want to see them in this world. If you want hair, would your child be okay? Would they know how to maneuver in certain ways and so forth? Do they know how to talk to people? Do they, you know, understand respect and boundaries and all of these things, you know, play into developing, you know, your child or your young person to, you know, take on the job market. So I'm not going to sit on here and, you know, blame the employers only and blame, you know, labor to say that, you know, yes, there are things going on at labor. There are things, and I'm going to take some comments out of the comment section. And if you want to call in, just go ahead and do so. But I'm not going to fully jump on labor alone because this is a rounded problem that we're having. To me, it's almost like a perfect storm. Okay, so you got the heads in government and some of the heads at labor who, you know, taking what they need to take to, you know, and giving people what they want. And then, you know, you have, you know, employers who prefer to work with a certain people. And then that too has to do with, you know, what they're willing to pay and how they treat the people. And then you have us, you know, as locals in terms of, you know, how selective we can be and what we want to do and not want to do, and how, you know, and how we are responsible we are as employees, etc. So someone said, what's bad, Cindy, is an employer allowing you to pay in your portion by yourself because they have, okay, so this is probably going back to that NHI and Social Security situation that we were talking about. So where you have the employer, what's bad, Cindy, is an employer allowing you to pay in your portion by yourself because they have to match yours. And you can only confirm by doing monthly check yourself. Needs to stop. Well, when the employer gives you your money straight out and say that you can take care of NHI and Social Security yourself, you have to put in the full amount because they're not deducting anything, not theirs, not yours, not anything. So if your Social Security would be, say, $200 a month, 100 is yours and 100 is the employer, and they aren't taking out anything at all, not even theirs, and they're giving you 100% of your salary, you have to pay that $200 yourself, all of it. I kind of agree that I don't think it should be left up to the employee to do it. I kind of feel like I want to agree with that, but as the legislation stands now, I think that either can do it. But what I was also saying about that is sometimes the employee doesn't fully understand, and they get all of their money and they still think that the employer is supposed to pay the NHI and Social Security, and that is not the case. Which system needs to upgrade where you, oh, I see. So at the moment, I believe that the labor system is just taking what jobs. And so when you go on to the labor system, because I'm not on it, so do you not have to like, so there's the jobs listings and then there are people looking for the jobs. So those people that's looking for the jobs, don't they have to put in their resumes with qualifications so that they're matched up? And that's how labor says, okay, I'm gonna send you over to this company. They contact the company and say, we have somebody that's suitable. We're gonna send them over. Isn't that what happens? I wanna think that that's what happens. So Roger says, Cindy, young locals are not going to work for $7.25 per hour period. No. What kind of mindset is that? What kind of mindset is that? So, I mean, when I was a young person coming out of high school, you know, before going on to college and stuff like that, I worked for, the minimum wage was less than that. And I worked for that when I did waitressing part-time, and then you get your gratuities. Working even with financial services, you started out at reception, secretarial. The minimum wage was less than that. Were you getting $1,200, $1,500 a month, $1,700 a month? So what do you mean the young people are not going to work for that? My son working for that. He got to work for that. He knows something else that he could do that he ain't working for that. And that's the problem. The young people ain't working for that, so who feeding them? I'm trying to understand the logic. And that's why I'm talking about bad parenting. So I'm talking about bad parenting. Who are you to decide as a young person without a degree or anything that you ain't working for $7.25 an hour? You have some skills that I could pay you $12 an hour for? I'm trying to understand. I understand what you're saying, and you know, you're saying what you're hearing out there as well, but the reality is the reality. As a mother or parents, you can't have your children sitting in your house deciding, and they ain't going to college or anything, and deciding, oh, I ain't going to go work because nobody pay me $7.25 an hour or $8 an hour. What we used to work for, Roger, $3 an hour, $4 an hour. And I know times are changing, things are more expensive, etc., but you're really trying to tell me that you prefer to sit at home, right? And your parents are gonna watch you sitting in their house, and you know, $1,200 a month is like, you not even that you want to bring home because that don't work for you. So we have to understand exactly, you know, what we want, what's going on in the BVI, and how we want to train our children. So if they don't want to work for the $7.25 an hour, then they can't complain and say they have too much Filipinos in here, they have too much this one in here, too much work permits. And if you're not an accountant, I sure as hell can't give you a job as an accountant or a lawyer or any other profession if you're not in that category. So we also have to do our part. You can't complain about something and you don't even care to, you know, be a part of the fix. If it's $7.25 you have to work for right now, you start at $7.25. At least you're making an honest wage. And you know the way, and I'm gonna speak to the young people because the way it's set up now, I always say, like, I watch all that's happening for all young people right now. And there's so many ways that they can make money. There's so many things open to them and so much advice that is free to them that we didn't get when we were growing up. And I specifically speak to like finance and financing and stuff like that. Like they are exposed to so much information where they don't have to ruin their credit early. And a lot about trading and investing. Like a lot of that conversation happens online where they are seeing that and they could tap into that. We didn't really have that stuff when we were growing up. Yes, we knew about trading, but it was something that you just hear about. You weren't exposed to it. So they're exposed to so many things. So if you have a day job and you're making, or a job, because it could be day going into night, whatever, and you're making, your $7.25 an hour, $1,200 a month, and you decide that, and your parents say to you, okay, here is going to be your bill for the month. You take care of this bill. That teaches them responsibilities, by the way. So say they do that, they're managing their money and they're able to start investing from 18, 19 when they come out of school, because they have access to this type of information. So that's $1,200 you're making turns into a lifetime of wealth building. So maybe these things are what we need to start to try to enforce in our young ones, and all people, period. If you're not making it here, find other, means of diversifying your income, right? Diversifying your means of making money. So maybe that's what we want to do. But to sit back and say, I'm not working for $7.25 an hour, and then the government has to give out a work permit to someone else, and then you have a problem with that. Like, we need people to do the jobs. So it's either you want to do the job or you're locked out of the market. You have to make your choice. But again, I say this thing is a rounded problem that, the government needs to do their part. Families and parents need to do their part. Schools that are educating our children, they need to do their part. And then, coming up as young adults, they need to do their part as well. Okay, it's a multifaceted problem that we're facing, and we have to look at every way what's going on and decide how we're going to attack this problem. So that's where I am at the job situation in the BVI. Again, I'm going to send an invitation over to Labor to see if they can send someone over to have an interview with us so we can ask them some questions and so forth. I also want to reach out to Social Security and NHI and all of these entities to see if they'll come on and explain certain things to us more, have interviews so that we're actually clear on what is happening in the BVI. We've set out a lot of things and we continue to set out things and we talk in little corners and so forth, and nothing happens from there. We need to get a little bit more involved in the things that's forming our life or livelihoods, and see how to fix those. There is a young lady on Virgin Gorda that I want to call. I'm going to call her first and see if she wants to be on air. She's an older lady. I'm calling her a young lady. So I want to call her to see if she is... because we speak from time to time. She called me and I couldn't pick up at that point, but she's on my mind to call her. She called me on Saturday. So I'm going to call her now. I'm going to see if she wants to be on air. Okay, so she didn't pick up. We'll see if she calls back. So yeah, those are my issues with, that's as far as I wanted to talk about labor today. People, they've been sending in, talk about labor because, they can't get a job, etc., etc. But they people want what jobs they want. And then, like I said, there are young people that are really, really trying. And, telling a young person who has just come out of school and trying to get on the job market to say that they don't have experience, like, how are they going to get the experience? Like, how are they going to get the experience to be a receptionist if they want to start there? They're applying for those jobs, tellers, etc. How are they going to get experience if there's no entry point onto the job market for them? Right? So there are those that are absolutely trying, and I want to work with those people, make sure that they can get onto the job market. But we got to do a little better all around. She's calling back. Good morning. How are you? Yeah, so I know that you called me on Saturday and I wasn't able to get to your call. I don't know if you know that I have started my morning show. Okay, so I've started my morning show from Mondays to Thursdays, and it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, and on Mondays, and we're trying to get it on the radio more, but on Mondays, it's on 90.9 FM. So I was wondering if you were calling me about that, and if you wanted me to. Good, so if I. Radio? Okay. Okay. Oh, I see. So what I wanted to know, because I know you love to talk to the public and you haven't spoken to them for a while because most of the shows are down. So I wanted to know, if you wanted to say something, wish them a great new year, how you're feeling about politics in the territory right now. If you want, I can put you on speaker and you can speak and they'll hear you. Or you'll call in another day. I love to hear how old people talk. She says she's not up in gear right now. Okay. Right. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. Okay, that's fine. But if so, yeah. So if you ever wanted to come on the show, I can call you. You let me know. I can call you, and you'll be on the show. So I called to see if you wanted to be on the show. If not, I'm gonna call you back right after the show. The show is gonna finish at 11:30, unless you really want to say something. Okay. So. Okay. Okay. No problem. So then what I'll do, I'll call you back at 11:30 once I wrap up the show then, okay? Sounds. No, no, no. I'm gonna call you back personally. Thank you so much. 90.9 FM. It's FM. No, it's oh gosh, God, it's gone from me. I'll tell you once I call you back, okay? All right. I'll call you back shortly. No problem. Okay. So yeah, so she calls in to the talk shows from time to time, and so she said she was calling me on Saturday, so she can see like what is going on in terms of you know the talk shows, why are they down, etc., etc., etc. So she said she isn't prepared to talk today, but she's happy to talk any other day. and she's had some health scares, which she did. We've spoken about that at the end of last year. Yeah, so hopefully we can get her on chatting sometime. So that is going to bring me to the end of the show today. I know that I'm going to have more conversations coming out in about the situation at labor, but like I said, it's a rounded problem. We all have to do our part and to figure it out. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in today. I believe that I have covered all the news. I believe that I have covered all the news, and yep, nothing new has come up on neither site. Tomorrow is House of Assembly. So whatever is going on the opposition, I want to say a couple more things about it, but I can't. I can't. So tomorrow is House of Assembly. So hopefully, maybe by then, something would have come out of what's going on by the opposition. I did hear that there is something on the governor's desk. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll tune into the House of Assembly and we'll see if there are any shifts or any movements in terms of who will be the opposition leader tomorrow. I understand the governor has to make a decision. And when he makes that decision, then we will know. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in today. I'm going to wrap up the show. I'm going to be back tomorrow, 8:30 to 11:30. Hopefully by the time I come off, 90.9 will tell me that, all right, we're going to run it each day for this particular hour, and so more people can tune in. All righty. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Good morning, good morning. Rise and shine, nation. Grab your bush tea. Cindy Rosen in the building. Let's break it down. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. How the country running, we break it down. Facts in the morning, no gimmicks, no spin. Educate, empower, let the day begin. Sunrise busting over hills and sea. Radio on, tune in frequency. From policy talk to community news. She asks the questions, bring real truth. No long talk, straight to the point. Facts so clean, they anoint. From the people voice to the leader's seat. She connect the dots, make sense of it. If you want knowledge, tune in early. If you want clarity, don't come late. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. How the country running, we break it down. A chance undone in pound and two. Electrifying facts for me and you. Economy, health, education. Youth, them future, the whole foundation. Culture, law, accountability. She hold the line for transparency. Not just talk, context and insight. So you can reason and get it right. Morning boost for your mind and soul. Information is power. Take control. Grab your bush tea. Clear your head. Start your day. Properly fed. Who got the facts? Who got the facts? Cindy. Who asks the hard questions? Who keep it real every morning? Cindy. Daily talk show. Daily talk show. Covering the issues. It drops an empire. Electrifying. Powerful morning booze. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. From sunrise talk to national plan. Facts in the morning so we understand. Strong minds, strong people, stronger land. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. From sunrise talk to national plan. Facts in the morning so we understand. Strong minds, strong people, stronger land. Before you step out, before you decide, get the facts in the morning and walk with pride. The morning facts with Cindy Rosen. break it down. The morning facts with Cindy Rose on how the country running. We break it down. Facts in the morning, no gimmicks, no spin, education.